Rhythm of Life Community Chorus. Man, I miss you guys. Welcome to my home, my apartment, music studio, practice room, hangout area, kitchen, all the above. But since this quarantine stuff has started, I made some serious improvements to my life. So now step into my new improved office. Here we are. I know it's a beautiful office. Got all the important homies here. My boy Mozart. Got my boy Bach, who's here. Even got my boy Igor Stravinsky up there on the wall. Thanks to Patty and Lloyd. So yeah, we're having a party. This is great times here. I hope you're all enjoying this lovely weather. I hope to here soon. Man, what a tough time this has been, not being able to see you all and not being able to sing with you. But you know, we are doing what we can, I'm sure. I do know that one of the things that I've always kind of been bummed about is whenever we're in the middle of a session, I'm always like, I want to teach you so many things about music. Because I know that I tend to just say things and sometimes people are like, what does that mean? So this is a good opportunity to talk about some of these things that we just don't really have the time to otherwise. And I think if you're like me, you're like, man, I want to keep my brain nurtured and I want to keep growing as a musician and as a person and all these things. So we're going to start doing this thing weekly where I'm just going to start, I'm calling it skills sessions with Professor Ballard. And hopefully we can talk about some things. If you have suggestions on what I should talk about or things that you would just love to hear addressed or have questions, feel free to reach out. If I say anything in this video that you're like, you did not help me understand that. I love chatting about these things. So never feel like a burden or anything. I would love to chat with you. The first thing I'm going to do is we're just going to talk through a score, all the aspects of one score. And I'm just going to give you some terminology. Hopefully you'll hear something and go, oh, I never knew what that was. Or, you know, I've heard people say that and I've always been too afraid to ask. And then in the weeks to come, I will try to relate it more towards the music that we've worked on in the past or music that we were working on. So you can actually take the music that we were working on and take notes if you'd like. The second part of this is I'm going to give you like a basic crash course on sightreadingfactory.com, which is a great resource, I think, for anybody, regardless of your level. So I'm going to share my screen here, and we're going to look at this Howells Requiem. This is easily my favorite piece of music, Herbert Howells Requiem. If you just Google that, you can find this score. And if you're looking for a new piece of music to listen to, it's absolutely heart-wrenching. So looking here, the basic notational system in Western music is laid out on what's called a staff. And that's just the 5 lines, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we call it a staff. When you're talking about plural, like more than one staff, we can say staves. So here we have 6 different staves. You all see how that works? And if you notice, there's this line that goes through all of this stuff. And that makes all 6 of these staves one system of music. Some people can refer to this as score, but to me, like a score is like a piece of music. Like this is to me as a score. But sometimes you'll hear that also. So this is one system. This is a system. So this first page has 2 systems. And that just means that all of this music is going on at the same time. So if you're singing soprano, you're going to read through here and then go all the way down here. Okay? If you look at the second page, again, 6 staves, 2 systems, again, pretty straightforward. As we jump down to the third page, you will notice that there is a line going through all of this music. That means that all of this music is actually one system and all will happen at the same time. And the reason is because you'll see Howells has broken it up into choir 1 and choir 2. So if you're singing tenor, this is quite confusing, but just to let you know, if you're singing tenor in choir 1, you'll sing all the way through here. This tenor in choir 2 is a different line. So you're actually going to go all the way from here to the next page and start singing there again. Luckily, in Rhythm of Life, we don't get music with that many staves that often. I think Light of a Clear Blue Morn was kind of had a lot of stuff. But if you look at like an orchestral score, this line goes through all of this. That means that all this music happens at the same time. So if you're reading one line, in order to go to the next system, you go all the way to the next page. So it's a little crazy. Again, we don't really have to deal with that, so that's nice. So back to the first page, we have the space between two bar lines. Excuse me, it's called a staff. Or sorry, gosh, it's one of those days. It's called a measure. So this first system has 4 measures. You see 1, 2, 3, 4. Sometimes they will be marked, which is nice when composers do that. Here, if you look all the way, you can see they kind of marked it way down here, hidden in a hidden manner. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I always just write in my measure numbers if they're not marked very clearly. So like, let's say the conductor says start at measure 12. You'll have to be like, okay, 9, you'll find the 9, 10, 11, 12. Whereas if I just have it there, it's, oh, boom, there's 12. I got there really fast. These are called clefs over here. And this just tells us which pitches are associated with each staff. Sometimes they are different. So for instance, this is a bass clef. This is a treble clef. They're completely different systems as far as pitches go. Luckily for sopranos and altos, you're gonna mostly always read treble clef. So every good boy deserves fudge and space is face. We're not gonna worry about that too much. We're gonna talk about that, I believe, week 3. I'm gonna break that down for you. Bass clef has a completely different system. So it's just important to know. Tenors will sometimes read bass clef, sometimes read treble clef. So tenors, keep your eye out for that. Basses every now and then will read treble clef, but not often. Tenors oftentimes have this little 8 down here, right on the little tail. And that just tells us that all the tenor stuff will be an octave down from the normal treble clef stuff. This particular composer didn't do that. But if you look here, the tenors are on an A, altos are on a D, sopranos are on an F sharp. The A is technically above both of these. Because we know that the tenors sing lower, we're just going to use our brains and say, well, yeah, that's probably not a higher A. Just something to pay attention to. These little things here are called key signatures, and that's going to just tell us which black notes on the piano we're playing. So we have flats here. These little squiggly things are called flats. What that means is, so here we have B and E have a flat on them. Anytime on the piano in this particular piece, you play a B or an E, instead of playing the B or an E, you're going to take the black note lower, half step lower, which is B flat or E flat, and you're going to play that black note. If you want to think of it further to your left, right? This right here looks like a hashtag. It's called a sharp, and it actually does the opposite. It takes, so this is an F. It takes that F and makes it a half step higher, so you would play the F sharp next to the F. Sometimes we will see these in the key signature as well. It just kind of depends. Not super important for singers, but good to know. This is called a time signature, and I believe week 7 we're going to break this down pretty in depth. But this is just how we organize time in music. So here, this just tells us that we get 3 half notes per measure. If that doesn't make sense right now, don't worry about it. It's for future weeks, but that'll help us. So then, as far as just a couple other things that we're going to talk about in future weeks, we have dynamics. So like pianissimo, crescendo, diminuendo, piano, poco crescendo. These are all just volume, how loud, how soft. And then the other thing that we're going to cover in depth, I think week 4, is articulation. So sometimes we have tenuto, sometimes we have an accent, sometimes we have a staccato. And that's just the manner in which you play the notes. So how heavy is it? How short is it? How long is it? That kind of stuff. But again, we'll go into that. The last little thing I briefly want to mention is tempo markings. Here, this is really straightforward. Slowly, but with flexible rhythm, half note equals 56. You don't need to know that, but it's cool to know. If we go down to page 3, this gets a little bit more, we're now in Italian. Poco rallentando al meno mosso. That just means we're going to gradually get softer until we land with less motion or at a slower tempo. None of those really mean a whole lot to you if you don't want to. You could literally cross all those out and say, look up. But if you want to empower yourself and just know a little bit more, I mean, feel free to translate those. And then if whoever is waving their hands in front of you does something incorrect, you are empowered to say, actually, we've studied it, I think. But it's just cool to know. So hopefully I answered some questions or helped you out in one way at least, or maybe made you think of something. Or if you didn't learn anything, I'm so sorry. I'm really quickly going to show you what's called sightreadingfactory.com. I think this is a great resource for people if you've never sight read before, or if you've been sight reading for 30 years. I think it's applicable to all. So you're just going to go sightreadingfactory.com and then try it for free. Here we have several options. Most of us are likely going to stick with voice. I do want to point out you can do rhythm only. So let's just go rhythm only, level 1. Let's keep it basic. You can do random. You can choose a time signature. I'm going to say 4/4. Start free play. So with this, I can just kind of give it a practice. Up here in the corner, we have a little metronome. Help you stay in time. If you want to slow it down, put it at like 72. You can slow that tempo down. If you mess up and you're not sure where you went wrong, you can go ahead and just play it for yourself. To kind of just check yourself. And then once you master that one, you can go next. Boom. I'm going through this fairly quickly, but let's go back all the way to here. So ensemble, I'm going to put this option out for anybody who wants to take me up on it. If you want to meet up and do some social distance sight reading, we could do choir, multi-part, boom, and we can add voices. You can do 2-part sight reading, in other words. Sight read with a friend. It's so fun. Oh gosh, oh, I'm really bad at this. Okay, I'm gonna go all the way back here. So voice is probably what most of us are gonna pick. You can choose what your voice part is. I'm gonna choose baritone since I'm a baritone. For levels, let's keep it at level 1. You can do custom if you have very specific things that you want to work on. I'm going to put it at level 1. Let's keep it in C major. You can do random key signature. I think we're still in 4/4. Great. So now here, I can give myself the tempo again. I can still do the metronome just like in rhythm. Now I have a tuning fork, which will give me my starting note. And for right now, everything's going to be do based. If you're starting with these earlier levels, and do, that's going to be do, your starting note, and you can sing with solfege. If you want to sing la 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 for now, that's fine. Week 3, I'm going to break down some serious solfege stuff. But this is how we start. Do, re, mi, fa, mi, mi, re, do, re, mi, fa. So you see how you can do that, go through it. Again, if you have a hard time, you can play a spot. Let me just real quick, for if you're a higher level, let's say, let's go level 4. Still not too crazy, but maybe for some of us more experienced folks, that's still our do, do, re, do, sol, fa, mi, sol, la, la, sol, do, ti, la, sol, mi, re, do, sol, fa, mi, sol, do, re, mi, re, do. Sorry, I'm a little out of practice. I haven't warmed up. Do, I hope it's I'm more or less in the right key. But let's say you go Do, re, do, sol, fa, mi, sol. Wait, am I right? You can play it back. Do, re, do, sol, fa, mi, la. Oh, see, I was wrong there, and you can kind of pinpoint where you're wrong. So that's just a little crash course. I'll give you more tools on how to be more successful in that, but give it a shot. Or if you want more help this week, just, hey, I want to get started now, give me a call. I'll walk you through whatever you would like me to. I think this will be a lot of fun. So again, I have the first 4 weeks laid out. But if you're like, hey, I really want to talk about this, I'm happy to cover whatever. So yeah, let me know. Otherwise, I hope you tune in next week. I will plan to send these out Mondays. Until then, I'll see you next week. Professor Ballard signing off. Love you guys.